Yahoo!
Believe they're smart enough to actually do that. I mean, at least maybe not if they don't do it the first episode, they have to do it at some point because like that is the Hawkeye run.
There's no second place. You know what I mean? Like it is in
only
first place. It is in first place. There are other Hawkeye runs and some of them are actually like okay, but this is not only like the definitive run of this character, but it's also a complete reinvention of the character. Like, Hawkeye, up until this run, is really just, like, a jerk. And is mostly defined by being a jerk in, like, an angry way. Whereas Clint in the Fractionaja run is a jerk in a sort of self-destructive, mopey sort of way. The way that, like, he is sort of a puddle that drags everything down around him.
He's less of a dagger and more of just like a poop, you know? Like he's not
he's quicksand. He's not a boulder.
Yeah,
you know?
that is a far better
if we're doing Indiana Jones comparisons to Clint Barton, but like unlike a character like fucking, you know, Batman or Daredevil that have almost infinite good classic runs. Like there's maybe no character with more consistent writing for decades than Daredevil. It basically like leaps.
I was never a Daredevil. I still haven't gotten into Daredevil books, and I'm really excited to finally do it.
I haven't either, really, but it's like, okay, the Frank Miller run, Frank Miller, Klaus Janson, is for a lot of people like the iconic run. But then you have Ann Nesenti's run, which is like insane Ann Nesenti nonsense, and it rules. You have the Brian Michael Bendis run, you have the Ed Brubaker run, you have the Chip Zdarsky run.
I mean, he's had a lot of writers.
There's the Charles Soule run, and so many of these runs are long. In contemporary comics, there's so few people that get room to stretch and do a nice long run. Like the Jason Aaron Thor run that lasted for like 7 years is really a modern outlier. Most of the time, Marvel and DC will like quickly change up the creative team on these books.
They do cycles, yeah.
Yeah, they love to cycle it, and you know,
it's usually it's like okay, hit 6 books and then we'll check in from there. Unless they're like, oh, someone says, hey, look, I want to do like a 12, maybe 20 book series or something like that, right?
And it depends, and you kind of have to be a name.
Early,
like Fraction in 2004, when he's just getting started with like Punisher War Journal, could not pitch the Hawkeye book that we got and get it made. There's no way. But because he did a popular and somewhat lengthy X-Men run, did the only good Iron Man run.
Wait. Fraction did an X-Men run?
He did. It's not my favorite. It's phenomenally interesting in a way that only Fraction
I feel like, I mean, yeah, Fraction has such a specific voice, and X-Men is such a specific set of characters /
But it works more often than it doesn't. His Cyclops is incredible. It's one of the best Cyclops. He redefines the... Yeah, Cyclops can be tough. You need to find the right Cyclops. Joss Whedon Cyclops is good. Yeah, Matt Fraction Cyclops is good.
I mean,
Cyclops is good.
Every time I watch X-Men and it's like, Cyclops is the leader, I go, really? I go, that's the leader? Why?
Well, he does need to be the leader. I mean, he's a phenomenal tactician.
Sure, but fundamentally I go... Well, for me, and maybe it's just, I don't know, my logistics on how I would assemble a team. The dude with laser vision is not, but I guess that's kind of what they were going for. They were like, take this guy that's got
they're not
one
lasers,
move.
They're concussive blasts. They're not hot like a laser would be. Sorry.
No, I mean, valid correction, you know.
So
but
sorry.
Like, you're not.
No, I am. It was unnecessary. It was completely unnecessary.
I don't know. For me, I'm like, dude, that sounds like, I don't know.
No, he rules. He's the only. Well, okay. So the way that it should be. IMHO, and it was briefly for a little bit, is that the leader of the X-Men, the person in charge, the head honcho calling all the shots, should be Storm, and Cyclops should be the field commander. Cyclops should be your battle leader, because he is
that checks out.
Yeah, he's the most driven guy. He won't let you lose the fight. He won't leave a man behind, etc., etc., etc. Storm should be the person in charge calling the shots. And Professor Xavier should largely be dead. I think he works better as a symbol than he ever does as a character. Professor Xavier.
I mean,
than he does as
since over the years, as they've, introduced more and more mutants and more telepaths, it's like, dude, you're just not, like, he's not the big dog that he was, right?
Yeah,
like, there are
he is not
so many more powerful telepaths, and his big thing isn't even him. It's his headpiece.
It's his symbol, it's his dream, right? It's the iconography of the headpiece. And don't get me wrong, I like Professor Xavier, and he's one of the characters that the movies got the most correct.
Right.
That, like, Magneto, Professor X, and Wolverine, I think they pretty much nail. Everyone else, I think I have some notes. but those three, you did it.
I am looking forward to see. I think because of that, there's such a high expectation for those specific characters in the new MCU integration of mutants, and
which is why
I almost don't know how they're gonna pull off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess based on what you said, like there's the one. What was it? Is it Civil War where they're saying like they have all these weapons targeted on these individuals that are high profile targets, and we don't know who any of them are, and your theory is that those are all mutants. And
I think that was Caleb.
Been there the whole time.
Yeah, I think that mutants should have been there the whole time, and Caleb's addition to that was the three things in Winter Soldier.
Things. Yeah, Winter
the
Soldier,
flying,
that's the one.
the flying guys. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
And yes, I think mutants should have been there the whole time, and they're just not on the radar. They would have had no reason to be on the radar, so they've just.
Yeah, if that is the case, then
if no one's looking for them, why would they find them?
Working through by making Magneto someone that has lived through,
Yeah, Magneto needs to be
a
Holocaust survivor, and if he can't be a Holocaust survivor, then he needs to at least be Jewish. I've heard a lot of pitches about Magneto and Professor X should be black, and I'd like that idea. But they need to be black Jews. I'm sorry. Magneto is
which I mean,
Jewish.
Black Jews do exist.
He is the most powerful Jewish character in fiction. You can't change that.
The other thing, I agree. I agree with that. But also, and me being Jewish, I fully am like, 100%. Take this.
And they need to finally cast a Jewish actor in that role. Also,
yes. Yes.
As much as I love those two performances, they need to cast a Jewish. Sorry, I interrupted.
But the other thing that I would almost see is they could have an opportunity here, right? To because let's address this, right? Marvel Comics has a very deep and true history with relating to World War II, right? Back to Captain America.
I mean, that's when their comics started. I mean, it was timely comics at the time, but like
that was their true pop off. That's where like these characters started coming to fruition, and this
Captain
whole legacy
America, the Submariner, the original Human Torch, and them forming the Invaders. That is like the first synergy of the comic characters are crossing over, and these are characters that remain in the Marvel Universe to this day. It starts in the 40s.
Right, and so I look at this and I go, okay, we've established, the relationship is very true and it's very clear, and it's also because a lot of the folks that were at Marvel at this time were Jewish, and it informed their work. I also would kind of love if they wanted to contemporize this, right? Say, look, we still want Magneto to be kind of young because, let's face it, if we're working on this timeline that we've now established very strongly, where mutants are going to cross over with the Avengers and this whole massive lineup of characters that we've come to know and love over the past 10 years, we've also had a 5 years later type situation. Like, time has passed. Magneto would be old, right? So
yeah, we almost have no survivors of the Holocaust living today.
Yeah,
and anyone that survived was
doesn't make sense.
Unbelievably young. And
Right.
they've come up with different reasons, because Marvel has the sliding time scale. So as opposed to DC, that every few years they will just fully reboot the universe, and that's why Batman is 30 instead of 80, right? And they will just do a full reboot. Marvel has instead decided, and I prefer this because then I don't have to deal with another reboot every few years, is that we're doing a sliding time scale. And so periodically, things will just have to change in regards to characters' backstories. And you have to read back issues sort of with this knowledge of like, okay, but, even though they look like 60s kids in this, they're actually like 2000s kids. Sorry, burp. The Moscow Mule is going down smooth. So the only two constants in the Marvel Comics universe that I can think of are Captain America fought in World War II. And he went into the ice, and the only thing that changes is how long he was in the ice. Because when he pops up in Avengers number 4 for the first time in 10 years, he'd been frozen for like 10 years. And
now, was this in the comics as well? Like, they stopped writing his comics for like 10 years?
Yeah, exactly. He was, because he was propaganda. Like, he was World War II propaganda. He's what Captain America was, and you have to acknowledge that part of his history. Yeah. And they've done phenomenally interesting things with him since then, but he's propaganda. Like, it's our boys in blue are fighting soldiers, like, whatever. And they retcon the going into the ice, because it's not as if, like, the last Captain America issue shows him going into hypersleep. It's just, they stopped writing Captain America issues, and Stan Lee's big solution was he was actually in an ice cube, and we thaw him out, and now he's on the Avengers, and has been frozen for 10 years.
Right.
But if you take common continuity into that, then I guess he's actually was frozen for like 50 or so years now.
Fundamentally, I don't think they'll be able to execute that in the same way with the movies. I think they're probably going to lean more towards what I think I'm seeing in the actual comics, which is, yes, these OG characters still exist in this universe, but they're focusing their efforts to like introduce new characters that are the new focus of the universe, right? We're gonna get. I mean, Spider-Man is getting older. Literally, Spider-Man is actually like an adult now. That's like a thing,
right? The comics begin when he's in high school, and he's never. I read most Spider-Man comics as if he's 24, 25.
Well, he's
like
a teacher. I feel like some of them he's like 30.
Well, it depends on how quickly you consider. I mean, the actual answer is that it doesn't actually make any sense, and you just have to find what works for you. Right. That, like, the original X-Men are all supposed to be approximately the same age. Like, the original 5 X-Men are all supposed to have been 15 at the same point. But the way they write and draw Iceman and Beast now, Iceman is still 25, but Beast is 45. And you just have to, like, because of the way those characters were written and drawn over time, it just sort of unintentionally, they just, like, split. They just, like, the way that the characters went in an organic direction for their personalities. Right. But it just truly doesn't make any sense.
It's like when you watch a TV show and the character develops into a way that they didn't actually initially behave in, and you're just like, but this is the way that it developed, so this is what we accept it as. My original point...
Britta, Eddie... Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Right, no, I've been loving this tangent, but my original point was, if they are going to, because I do believe in order for them to make the MCU actively work, because let's face it, they're not going to bring Iron Man back. Iron Man is done. They're done with Iron Man.
I hope so. And Robert Downey Jr. is almost 60. It doesn't make a lot of sense to bring him back.
At a certain point, Thor's going to be gone.
He'll do a cameo in an alternate universe. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe even that.
Something like that.
But it might even be like a deep fake. We don't even know. It might be like aged.
Or he's an AI. They've done a Tony Stark AI when he died in the comics before. Like, there's options. With
there's options. But the idea is, if they wanted to contemporize Magneto, right? Mm-hmm. Because let's face it, the Holocaust, right? World War II Holocaust is not the only example of mass genocide in concentration camps in world history. And I think if we were to even address,
People have said apartheid as
we could do apartheid. I'm also thinking of multiple examples within United States history. We could talk about the Asian camps, right?
Yeah.
We could talk about the literal concentration camps going on right now. I mean, there's options.
There are options, right?
Options. I would also love to see them take literally give. But then it becomes interesting because Magneto is a complex character, and I think phenomenally complex character. And I think with this is a whole massive conversation, and I don't mean to minimize what this actually is, but Magneto as a white Jewish person, wonderfully, the way that he's represented wonderfully reflects kind of the complexity of what that identity means, right? If you, I'm almost worried that the second you make Magneto a black Jewish man and you add a complexity to it, it is almost, and I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. You know, a part of me is like, we should see complex characters that are, you know, from diverse backgrounds, but at the same time, in a consistent universe where we actually don't have that many people of color and that much diversity shown as the good guys, you know, truly like our big hitters, it feels a little bit to give one of the most famous, typically regarded to as a bad guy, mutants to a person of color. But at the same time, I would also love to, you know, but at the same time, like, you give Lex Luthor to a black man and I'd be like, fuck yes, this is rad. Let's fucking go. You know?
Absolutely.
It's a conversation. It's really wild.
And there's a lot of different elements and levels to it. And they've said for a long time, like, our X-Men is a long way off. Which is fine. Like, take the time to
the way that
do
it.
Exactly. I'd like take the time to do it right.
Like the timeline it took them to pull off Avengers 1, right? Mm-hmm. It should be even longer than that to pull off X-Men. And this is with Marvel putting out 5 movies a year now if they pull off their expected plans.
Yeah, like, who knows?
Insane amounts of movies. And I think if you just literally we're just going to throw a mutant in over here and a mutant in over there and then let the team kind of come together at some point. Yes, absolutely.
I think, I've heard that pitch a lot, and I like that quite a bit. And there have been, you know, if we want to keep the Holocaust survivor aspect of it, they've done a few different things. Yeah, Ice Cube. They've done a few different things in the comics. There was this time where he was like turned into a baby and re-aged. Obviously, you can't do that one. But Magneto's magnet powers have also always been able to do essentially anything. And you know, in the X-Men movies that already exist, they're like, how could it possibly be that Mystique is a contemporary of Xavier and Magneto, but is played by Rebecca Romijn in 2000 and not a Patrick Stewart age actor? And it's just like, I don't know, her mutant powers make her age slow. Boom. Like, that's all I need. It's like
the thing is though,
his magnet powers make him
when
age
you establish
slow.
It like up front with Wolverine, who very clearly is like, Wolverine ages in a really weird way, and they acknowledge it, right? They make it a part of his background, and then for them to be like, "Oh, so does Mystique," but we just didn't mention it once ever over the course of 12 movies. Like
and that's because, like, actually, I think the X-Men movies to this date are still the best translation of actually reading comics to the screen. Is that none of it actually makes any sense when you put it next to each other. Like, none of it actually lines up in a way that makes any sense, which I admire that they've grabbed. That's why
true to form.
I see a lot of people on community Twitter that are like, G.I. Jeff retcon Jeff's age, and I don't, that bothers me. And I'm like, it doesn't bother me. If that's the
bone they're picking, like, straight up, here's the deal. Troy is a completely different character 5 episodes into season 1 than he was in the first episode. He does a complete 180. Why? Because after a few episodes, Donald Glover found a new character direction, and they loved it, and they went with it. Like, it happens, especially with long-form TV shows. It makes perfect sense. And
I think that I recently came to the realization, I'm like, why doesn't this bother me like it does other people? And I'm like, oh, because I read fucking X-Men. Like, when Wolverine is introduced into the X-Men comics in 1975, he's just a mean guy with a mild ability to heal from wounds. And then 10 issues later...
He didn't have his claws in his Hulk introduction?
He had the claws in the Hulk introduction, but like he could kind of heal, and he was just kind of this mean guy named Wolverine. Then 10 issues later, a bunch of leprechauns tell me his name is Logan. Then like 10 years after that, they're like, actually he's 100 years old. And then 10 years after that, they're like, actually his claws are bone. And so I'm like, okay, like I if I'm used to this, Jeff being 5 years older than we thought he was doesn't mean anything to me.
No, yeah.
Like that, listen, until you've been around the corner.
Right. But I think that's also, it's really interesting that with like MCU stuff, right? How they've managed to pull off, are there tiny little plot holes? Yeah, they're real small, and they do a pretty decent job of like, you know, figuring out what they were after they released them and addressing them later on, and sort of kind of putting a little Band-Aid on them and making them kind of...
Yeah, they wanted to do, say, the Infinity Gauntlet glove thing differently. So, okay, actually the one in the vault is a fake, and Thanos had the real one. Fine, okay, yeah, easy enough. I'll buy it.
Yeah, no, I mean, those are... And they track well, too. They're not these little retcons where it's like, this is clearly a mistake.
And they make it thematic to Thor Ragnarok that the glove was fake. It's an important... Like, it is a funny joke, but it's also, like, thematically important to Hela's whole... Actually, Asgard is a pile of shit. It's all lies. Odin sucks.
they you know, truly, the way that they manage retcons is really excellent. And I'm waiting for them to pull off the greatest retcon fix of all time in the Loki series to address the confusion about time travel in Endgame. They'll figure it out. They will figure it out.
Oh, well, okay. The moment something introduces time travel, I'm not looking for logical inconsistency. I'm not looking for it. I'm just going to watch them go through time. I can't,
time travel is impossible. It is impossible to do.
Lost, Back to the Future, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm not following the lot. Looper, like, universe, whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
Once DC was like, hey, we got this great idea for Flashpoint, they fucked themselves over. Great storyline, but now any other series that has anything to do with time travel, with the fundamental basis of their big time travel story being like, if you go back in time, other things change. It trashes all of it.
It's completely fucked, and that's why, like, the moment it's. Did you see Looper?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Well, there's this scene in Looper where excellent movie, by the way. If you ever have like a couple hours, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's how Rian Johnson got Star Wars.
It's on my list.
But Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis, who are different versions of themselves, are sitting down at a diner, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like, how does this time travel thing work? And Bruce Willis is like, fucking who cares? We're going to be sitting here all day with straws making maps out of sugar like, fuck it. I'm here. I'm time travel. It's just go with it. Right. And that's the best explanation of it I've ever seen in a film.
I am hoping, and I know it's going to be difficult with Kang coming in, right?
Yes, Kang. I love Kang, by the way. Big Kang guy.
My first introduction to Kang was actually Young Avengers.
Yeah, that's because of Iron Lad.
Iron Lad, yeah.
Cool guy. Excellent man, Kang.
Really wild stuff. But I think, like...
And Kang is also the best example of this, where it doesn't make any fucking sense. Nothing that guy ever does makes any sense. And that's fine.
I'm just hoping that the Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't go too much into time travel. I mean, yes, give Loki his time travel show. That's going to be rad. Really kind of figure things out right there. I can make my way into looking at, Endgame being like, they were two descriptions, like, even though they described time travel the same way, in two different ways, they were talking about the same thing. Anytime you time travel, a new branch is created, but the whole thing is, if you take a stone out of it, that branch is gonna get really dark, but it's not. It doesn't mean that if you put the stone back, that that
everything
branch
is
did
fine.
happen,
Mhm.
it's still a new branch, but you just need to put the stone back. And apparently, the suit allows you to go between different timelines as well. So the suit is also a multiverse traveler, but which we would have
Fine.
to get into. That they can, they will
Fine.
figure out a way to make it work, right? Awesome. Will they address Captain America breaking literally everything out of that? I don't know. Who cares? They've got 2 shows to be able to do it. They've got Time Travel and Loki, and they've got Captain the Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Winter Soldier if they want to address it. I don't know. But the thing that's really exciting about the MCU is that they've established, aside from the fact that these are the highest quality superhero movies ever made, like just consistency around the board with all this stuff. Even if you're going back to not the best movie, but you look at, Thor Dark World with its 507,046 Dutch angles to let you know that everything's out of whack. I mean,
But
it's
it's
still a decent
also
movie.
far from like unwatchable. Like
We're not talking we're not
it's
talking
the best
here.
it's the best looking Marvel movie. Like when they're in Iceland and throwing aether at each other, that is some heavy metal bullshit, and it rules.
I mean, even if you go down to like the one that people don't talk about, Hulk, right? We can. I mean,
That's the one that I might actually like. Okay, but there's some fun
but
stuff.
That was so early in the process, and that was still technically a different company, wasn't it? Like that wasn't Marvel Studios. They were just like, look, let's do a collab kind of thing here at the last.
So
minute.
the first, the first. All the first, what is it, 6 movies leading up to Avengers, they were all co-produced. So Paramount co-produced Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and Universal co-produced Hulk, because Universal were the rights holders to that. And actually, if the Marvel Cinematic Universe had failed, Marvel would be owned by like Merrill Lynch or some company. Like they entered an insane bargain, and they bet everything on the Avengers, because otherwise they literally would have been owned by like a toy company. I can't remember exactly who it is.
I know what you're talking about.
But they essentially, in the same way that like the Phantom Menace is technically the highest budget independent film ever made. It was fully bankrolled by preemptively selling its own toy rights. And then part of George Lucas's own small fortune went into making that movie, and it was distributed by Fox, but not created by Fox, which is why that movie is what it is, for better or worse. Mm-hmm. And in times, both.
Right.
This has been a Talkback Podcast.
That was quite a show. Very entertaining.
Please tell your friends about this show.
Boopy doopy doop boop sex.
Larry, I'm on DuckTales.